Issue 89. Sally starts to cry, naturally being terrified because her father got injured and she's afraid of losing him for real this time. Not to mention she just lost her brother to Eggman. She says to Sonic, surprisingly calm looking, that she trusted Sonic to protect the king. And Jeffrey actually stands up for Sonic, telling her that Sonic had no choice other than to leave the king's side. And fortunately he gets interrupted by her crying and not by her yelling at him. Oh good, Elias was saved. They didn't make it clear last issue. He goes to comfort her to be a good brother, and as Jeffrey orders a guard to return the Sword of Acorns to the Royal Reliquary, Sonic for some reason insults him as Mr. Perfect behind his back, even though it looks like they were finally friends for a couple issues. Well, it would be boring if they stopped being rivals altogether, especially since Sonic the Hedgehog never really has a proper rival in the series. Like, Knuckles and Metal Sonic and Shadow never really compete with him. Although, the only thing Jeffrey's really competed with him with is with Sally. But the point is that their whole dynamic is supposed to be that they hate each other. My question is, how worthless is that Sword of Acorns for combat if the king was fighting with it and he still got injured? I picture a magic sword shooting laser beams and stuff. But I guess not. Instead it just functioned like a normal sword when it came to fighting those robots. Rosie comforts Sonic and confirms exactly what I've been saying all along. Sally's outburst came as a result of the intense pressure she's undergoing. Foreshadowing. Mina cheerfully comes back from her walk babysitting some kids, and she wonders why Sonic seems so glum. Elias sits down beside Sally and comforts her, saying it's hard when things start spinning out of control. And Sally says, while holding her knees in the fetal position, that they've been spinning out of control for some time now. And that look in her eyes. See? Sally complains sadly that I used to know what was going on when the chain of command ended with me. But ever since his return, Dad's kept things from me and left me out of every decision. Now you too. I like how there's some lightheartedness here, as Elias mistakenly calls the hidden city of the ancients the hidden city of the old ones, and Sally awkwardly corrects him in one word. That actually made me giggle, and it's well written comedy because it's perfectly natural for him to make that mistake. He apologizes to her for the condition of her mother being kept from her, although I don't understand why he's acting like he's done something wrong. After Elias says that his father should have appointed her as the heir because she has a knack for ruling, Sally says sadly that she's not ready to lose Mom and Dad, and he admits that he isn't either. Elias asks her why she took her anger out on Sonic instead of him, since Sonic left the king's side to rescue Elias. This causes Sally to actually realize she was wrong and say that she could hug Sonic, for once. Right as we see Sonic being hugged by his mother and reassured by his father, who tell him that even he can't be in two places at once. Well, if he runs at the speed of sound, I'm sure he could do a decent job at faking it. Then we cut to Eggman, who explains that the King's Sword was what restored free will to Uncle Chuck and Mutsky. Odd, I wish that was made a lot more clear. He orders his robots to find that sword, and then we see Sonic and Tails agreeing that this sword was the cause of the free will. Fortunately, Sonic really does appreciate the chili dog his mom made him, rather than being too depressed to, but that would have been good for emotional impact. Not to mention his parents must spoil the hell out of him to actually cook him chili dogs for breakfast. This is the problem I have with Sonic having a favorite food, because they overuse it to hell and back, making it the only thing he ever eats. Mina thinks about how the food smells awesome and she misses her mother's cooking, before swearing vengeance on Eggman, saying that she has to do something about that now. She's gonna get herself in trouble, isn't she? Honestly, I respect Amy's competence more than hers at this point. At least Amy can summon a hammer. We then see the sweet sight of the king holding the queen's hand as they're lying near each other in hospital beds, and the king is stunned at feeling the queen squeeze his hand. And of course, the mother of Sally wakes up at last, to the joy of everyone else. What a happy ending. The story ends with Sonic running off with the Sword of Acorns, as he really should have done from the start, since the sword has clearly just been wasted on the king. The second story picks up where Knuckles and Robin left off, with them rowing a canoe to Albion instead of walking on the water because Knuckles is scared of tempting fate with it, being hydrophobic. After a few panels of basic recap about Robin discussing his time with Knuckles, We cut to what at first I thought was a female brotherhood until I saw some male echidnas there, the light brown one looking terrible. But the rest of them are pretty great designs, especially the female ones. Counselor Gala complains about Knuckles potentially rejecting his homeland after making it clear that she's been watching and eavesdropping him through a camera. And she's told that Knuckles' duties lay elsewhere. And another female echidna says that it's the others she's more concerned with. I feel a little fatigued at seeing yet another brotherhood complaining about the heroes and spying on them. But at least the good designs of some of them make up for it, with the female ones giving it a different feel from the all-male brotherhood. The second female echidna says that he's not trotting upon their land, but unfortunately she has a problem with Antoine resembling the High Sheriff too. What difference does that make? Why would that make him untrustworthy? That's not his fault. Robin tells a worried Antoine that Antoine's father hasn't exerted any influence over Robin's roboticized band ever since. For some reason, Knuckles recognizes Gala, even though she isn't purple like the one Albion that he met. So I guess he could recognize her even after she stopped dyeing her hair purple. Gala says that her people know Knuckles more than he thinks, which is confusing since she immediately proceeds to say that Knuckles' family has always been the most independent among the echidnas, and she complains about how many times she's pleaded for the Guardians to return to Albion. She says she'll tell Knuckles the fate of Angel Island in time, and guides him, and nicely enough his friends, to a place of hospitality for some rest. After Knuckles wonders if his problem is really cared about, he recognizes Yodar. Oh, so I guess he chose to dye his hair that ugly color after coming to Albion for the Lost Tribe. That was unnecessary. He tells Knuckles that the Albions can guess why the others are here too. How would they be able to guess correctly about that? Knuckles has my full support when he stands up to him that they knew what was happening on the floating island, shouting that, and none of you guys are doing anything about it? Yodar tells him that there was nothing the Albions could do to prevent it from happening. And then they show Knuckles and the former High Sheriff of Snottingham, telling him that he should show him to Antoine. Well, that was underwhelming. I thought Sonic would defeat him. At least this took me by surprise. After it said they're going to deactivate him for the greater good, even though it should be obvious to them that he's an innocent roboticized person and not a robot, before Knuckles can get a chance to react, the roboticized sheriff gets up right away and starts a fight with Knuckles, causing an explosion that alerts Antoine and Robin and somehow doesn't kill Antoine's father. Good, we still get the sheriff doing some more stuff before that plot point would be totally resolved. The first story, by Carl Bullers, is about Sally having another moment of vulnerability, starting to cry about her father's injury and telling Sonic she trusted him to protect him, and Ellie is comforting her. But rather than this being chickification or whatever, which I honestly think has completely ended by this point, Rosie and Sally herself confirm what I've been saying all along. This isn't just chickification. This isn't just her reacting excessively to one thing for no reason. This is her starting to snap under an immense amount of pressure and being stressed out at everything spiraling out of control, with one terrible thing happening to her after another, especially since she's no longer the real leader of the Freedom Fighters. Considering her only purpose is to be the leader, it makes sense that she'd have a crisis over being replaced by someone who leaves her out of the decisions. It gives better depth to her character by making her get worried and stressed out like a normal human being rather than not really caring at all. Getting invested rather than be totally apathetic like Boom Sonic. She doesn't have to be a badass all the time. And after she has that sympathetic moment, and it's revealed that the Sword of Acorns can restore people's free will, which makes perfect sense considering it did the same thing for the brainwashed soldiers of King Acorn when they were going after Robians, there's a happy ending where the Queen heartwarmingly wakes up holding her husband's hand. The second story is by Ken Penders, and as Knuckles and some friends go to Albion, which has a government brotherhood of its own, which would have been much more fatiguing if it weren't for the presence of good female designs of echidnas, giving it a different feel. And the story doesn't get much done yet, as it simply ends at Antoine's father fighting Knuckles after being threatened with being deactivated. I have to wonder why it took him this long to wake up and start attacking. And I guess the Albions are genuinely unaware that this guy's a roboticized person with no free will, because otherwise shouldn't even be considering deactivating him. If they know about all the trouble he's been causing, why don't they also know that this isn't his fault? Why can't they just try to reprogram him? And why are they suspicious of Antoine just because he resembles a robot, if they think it's a robot and not a roboticized person? This was just the lead-in story to a story I'm really excited for, so I can't wait to see more of Albion and Antoine's father.